Hello, Philemon. How are you today?
How are you, Lily? Nice to see you.
I'm so excited to have you today. You are the first immigrant who actually is from Africa, another a big continent on my show. So I'm so grateful. And you already told us a little bit about your stories last July on our immigrant stories. But today I'm just so glad that I will be able to interview you, ask you some questions since we just started this immigrant speak show every Sunday. Then we have one story come out. And so I'm just so excited to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me in your show, Lily. My name is Philemon Sm, and I'm originally from Eritrea in East Africa. I ran away in 2008 because the government in Eritrea is a very far communist leadership that we have, and I was being conscripted in the military for unlimited period of time with no salary, no reward. It's like a modern slave that I've been experiencing, and nobody, no young people from the age of 18 to 60 are allowed to get out of the country, not allowed to have passport. So the only choice they had to run from this extreme oppressive regime is to run away on foot. So I traveled for 8 days through Ethiopia, Sudan, and then from there went to Israel. I got an asylum in Israel, a temporary asylum. I was treated very humanly. And after I stayed 5 years in Israel, and then I I was lucky to get an opportunity to come to this great nation, America, and then I'm an American citizen now. I'm very proud to be American, and I'm very proud to be uh, a member of Freedom Loving American, and I've been living here since 2016.
And you said you grew up in Eastern Africa, um, Eritrea, right?
Eritrea, yeah.
Eritrea, and a socialist communist country since 1991. And you said that when you were mandatory to attend and be trained by the military, and you just said from 18 years old to 60 years old males were not allowed to leave the country
Yes, was not allowed to have a passport too.
because they want you to keep you there to fight for the regime, to be militarized.
To be, because you are obliged to be a military member. That's one of their strategy to control the people, because once you conscripted all of the young people into the military, it's easy for them to control you. It's about control. It's not about defending the country. We don't have a lot of threat, around our region. The way one of their strategies to control the people is to conscript in the military. That way, the people are not getting a chance to gather out of the system to against the system.
So how old were you when you had to go join in the military training?
I was around 17. After I finished high school, everybody is forced to go to the military for a national exam. So if you pass the national exam, you're allowed to go to the communist or socialist military college to be a servant of the state, like a better slave. If
Like
you
a
are,
party school. We call party school in China.
oh, you
Like
call that
party
one
school.
really?
Party school. So
Well,
you will be in line, you'll be loyal to the party, to the regime.
yeah. So I passed the exam. So I went to the Communist National College and to be a better slave of the state. So, by the way, I'm not surprised at that, because the president, before he became the president, when in 1961, he went to China to study communism under Mao. So he might, they have similar way of strategies, like school institution. They copied from, maybe he copied from the Chinese institution. So when I went there, you're not allowed there to think critically, logically, freely. Just you been indoctrinate their ideology. That's imperialists are trying to take over the world, trying to take over our country, trying to bring evil ideas to our nation. That's what you have been. Even some of the books that I was reading are actually written by American author. His name's Noam Chomsky. He's a famous far left communist. So they translated that book in our language, and we were forced to study that one. So
Wow, you were reading American communist
yes,
book, translated into your native language,
yes,
so you can
yes.
be brainwashed by an American communist writer.
Yeah, and that's one of the reason they were teaching us that this book is written by an American. His name is Noam Chomsky. Even the Americans are fighting against evil idea of capitalism, imperialism. So why don't you guys fight against what, even though Americans are fighting? So that's the one of the trick that they were using.
Yeah. So, so you said that once the communists took over and the economy become really bad. So tell us about your economical condition. Like we were starved. I mean, did you grow up being hungry and the living condition and your family like were able to feed you? I mean, tell us a little bit about your like just childhood experience.
Yeah. So when the communists took over in the country, the economic, until they got to take over the country, the economy was okay. We have like a lot of trade, a lot of industries, a lot of economic transaction with Western countries, with China, with Eastern, with India. So we had a better life. But as soon as they took over, the first thing they did is they destroyed our culture, they destroyed our history, they destroyed our religious institution. They destroyed, and then they took over. They started a new curriculum under the idea of a new nation building. So it's like you need to be a new nation, and we will train you how to be a new nation, a new people, so that that's all ideologies are against against your own history, against your forefathers' history, against your culture, against your religion. So, and the economic, immediate, many people start to run away. The elite and all these business people, they had to run away. They went to Africa, Europe, they ran away. So the economic becomes collapsed. Inflation grew high, very, very high. The money became nothing. So what the government could not even control. People get hungry. People did not have enough medication. They don't have any institution that helps them. So what the government did to control the inflation, all this economic crisis, is they controlled the financial system and the banking. So what they did is every person has take 2,000 of the local currency if you are an individual. If you are a business, 5,000. So they control the money and they actually distribute the money with the 2,000 for a single person, 5,000 if you have a small business. That way they control the economy, they control the demand. And then the hunger becomes worse because there is no any supply, nothing. And then
the young food rationing, like we had a food rationing.
We have this little card member that unless you have that little card member, that you're not allowed to buy what you need. So it's like a rationing. It's not like they distribute food, but they give you the card. If you don't have this card, you cannot buy food, you cannot buy water, you cannot buy anything. You
like a coupon, we call it food coupon. It's not just food; it's also sugar, fabrics, and papers. All kinds of stuff. It's all rationed. Because the economy is bad, everybody was poor, except the super, political ruling class and leaders. All the people, doesn't matter. You used to be, like a bourgeois, proletarian, workers, peasants, all were just equally poor. So did the communists come to your country, take over, or they were like a homegrown communists from your own country? How did they get local people to support them then?
Okay, so like Eritrea in 1960 was like federated by Ethiopia. So many people were against the Ethiopia communist regime. Ethiopia was under communism in 1970, around 1970, was supported by Soviet Union. So when it first started, we started this revolution to fight against communism, because when the Ethiopian communists came and controlled our country, they banned our language, they banned our religious institution, they banned our culture, our history. So many people actually went to revolution to keep their religion, to keep their language, to keep their self-determination, their freedom. So, but there was a few elite, including the current president of the country, were reading communist books like Marxism, socialism, Marxist-Leninist ideology, all these things, and they were fascinated. They were thinking themselves as a new prophet, a new Messiah. So what they did is they started sending the elite to China, to different communist states to be trained. So the majority were fighting against communists to preserve their culture, their language, their national pride, but the elite were studying, they were planning to control. So what happened is, once we got the freedom, the elite who studied communism took all the power by killing whoever opposes. So they had a complete control around 1993, especially in 2000 they controlled it completely. So the communists was actually a minority to begin with. They were very minority, but slowly they controlling the educational system, the cultural institution, the religious institution, the military they control it slowly. And then
how about local people? Did you have guns? Did you have arms to fight back the communists?
yeah, but like I said, they are an inside. Oh, their strategy was they were hiding themselves under the popular majority, and then what they tricked and once they control the propaganda mission, the TV, the media, once they control that, it's hard even for the other people to oppose, because
To know the truth, you don't even know the truth anymore. It's hard to organize.
it's hard to organize, because even if you organize locally, they dehumanize you. Oh, look, this group of people were sent by the American imperialists, by the Ethiopians. They associate you with the enemy and then easily kill you or imprison you with not the other people knowing what's happening. So they controlled the media. There is only one state media, one state TV, one state newspaper. So they imprison all the private media, the private newspaper. They killed them. They imprisoned them. And also there are a military group who were trying to oppose. They killed them. They imprisoned them. And what happened later is they conscripted every young, even if you conscripted to the military. That way it's easy for them to control you. If
So
you
all
have
the oppositions basically can get locked up and prosecuted, and
yes,
and then pretty soon, and then also people don't know the truth. I mean, it just it sounds like it's always similar communist tactics. So they, as soon as they take over, then they start to control the media, control the education, and take the truth away from the people. You don't know what is going on, and then they disappear the political opposition and going after their dissident and. So they're in charge, but it's funny thing though, they sell you communism, but then the fact is always dictatorship. It's always the elites on the top and act like emperors and they teach you the poor peasants about communism, but they control everything. It's all actually it's good for their power, right?
yeah.
So what were your parents? Were they the believers, or they had no idea? Did they support the communists, or how did they raise you at home, make you different?
Well, they teach me like all our family's value, the Judeo-Christian value, and all our history that we fought against the Islamic invasion, against the colonization. So we were taught all our Judeo-Christian value, our history, our culture. But when I go to school, there are two things happen. There are two schools happening. In my home, they teach me a different thing. In the school, they teach me a different thing. In the school, the regime is teaching me like that the Americans are evil, the Europeans are imperialist, they are colonizers, the white people are evil. They teach me this. And the communist is a savior, and religion is bad. Your history is backward. They teach me all these things in the school. So I agree with two educational systems. But later, what slowly the government, the regime understand that, so they destroy the family. They take away my father to the military, and they leave my mother by herself, and it's hard for her to teach you and also to work and to help you to raise you. It's so they destroy the family. That's that means they destroyed the last institution they had. Even marriage, in order to get married, you need to have a permission to get married. It's very hard to get married, and that has been done intentionally to destroy the nuclear institution, the only institution that we can protect our values. Intentionally, they did it, and still we are struggling. We are on the struggle between the family and their school system. There is still a struggle. That's why I'm able to think critically what I have learned from my family and what I have learned from the indoctrination of the communist state. So I'm able to think critically because of my family. That's why we need to protect the family here too, because that's the only institution you can save against a very big mass media and school system that has been controlled by a communist state.
It's very common, because just like when communists took over China, and they immediately to trying to destroy the traditional Chinese culture and the families and the private properties. That's why Mao even started cultural revolution to get rid of four olds. That means the old culture, custom, habits, ideas. And so anything can be subjectively to say that's for all, get rid of it. And they also demonize all religions. So like you said, doesn't matter if you are Taoists and Buddhists and Christians inside the China, every religion was banned. Then communism become the only ideology you could believe, right?
Yeah,
And the Mao was like the new god. That's why all the red guards just worshipped him. So how old were you when you start to plan to say, I got to get out of this country, I got to go somewhere else? How old were you?
So I was like 20 years old when I went to college. When I saw that the college was like an institution that indoctrinates like an ideology, not a science, not critical thinking, not anything that's useful for. And I understood myself that I would become a better slave. I thought the only way to get out is to run away from the regime, to save myself, and then if I find a way to help my family, my people, and then I'll think later. That's what my decision was. So I had to run away. Once I ran away to Ethiopia, and then I got to Sudan, I was learned when I was in my home country. I was learned that everybody, every human being is equal, especially the farmers, like they call them proletariat. Proletariat. So according to the communist ideology, people are divided either the bourgeoisie, the rich people, and the poor people are the peasants. That's how they divide them. So when I went to Sudan, all this Egypt, on my way to Israel, that the people, no other people outside our country is divided by class. It's divided by religion, by culture, by tribes. So I was a Christian to them. So I was being tortured. I was being treated like a Christian, not like an African, not like a black person, not like a peasant, proletariat. No, nobody treat me like that. They treat me, when they saw me, when they found me, they saw that this is a Christian person, a kafir, non-believer. So they tortured, like with many Eritreans, that they've been tortured, they've been human trafficked, they've been sexual abused. My old sisters were sexually abused in front of my eyes, and they would be raped, gang raped, and also a lot of Eritreans has been taken their kidney out. And
wow, they use their organs.
Organ harvesting, yeah.
It's like what China's doing today.
Yes, so that's what they did, because to them you are like other person. You are the Christian, you are non-believer, you're nobody. Nobody thinks that by classes there is rich class, poor class. No, nobody think like that. All over the world they think through their culture, through their religion, through their nationalism, through whatever, through their tribalism. If I learned all these things critically, logically in the college that I was, or in my home country, I would have prepared. But I was not prepared, because I was indoctrinated that all human being is divided according to bourgeois and proletariat. Your enemy is the rich, not other people. So I thought that everybody was my friend. Everybody was not my enemy, unless they are rich. Only America was my enemy. Only Israel, the Zionists were my enemy. Only Europeans were my enemy, not other people. That's why
when you run out of the country, then you found out actually people were helping you. They were not your enemies, right?
Yes, they were not helping me. They were slaughtering my brothers. They were raping my people. All the Islamic countries in the North Africa, they did this to my people. A lot of Eritreans has been beheaded by ISIS and been organ harvested and sold their kidney, their organs, to help a terrorist group in the Middle East.
So which country were you talking about that? When
Egypt, Sudan, in Sinai, all these things. In Sinai is actually controlled by Hamas. You know, Hamas, like a terrorist organization in Palestine, is doing organ harvesting for my people and selling their organs to help their terrorist agenda. So, but what I learned, that religion doesn't matter in my country. Religion, whether you're Islam, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, it doesn't matter. What it matters if you are rich and poor. That's why I was blindfolded. I was indoctrinated. I was unable to see. And a lot of my Eritrean fellows had the same experience, and a lot of them actually experienced what I was telling you, and they are not alive anymore. I was lucky, one of the lucky to run away to Israel from Egypt, and I was given a temporary sanctuary, asylum, contrary to what I was brainwashed about Israel, the Zionist evil. Actually, they treated me humanly, and they gave 40,000 Eritreans gave asylum, a temporary asylum, to live in the country, to work in the country, to get married in the country. Like that was like unheard of, like unbelievable for me at that time. That's
So
why I
you say that you lived in Israel for 5 years
for
before
5
you
years.
came to the United States.
Yes, I live it. Actually, I learned a lot about America while I was in Israel, because there are a lot of American Jewish who come to Israel, and I learned a lot about America. That's the first time that I learned a lot about America, how America is great, how America is free, how America is rich, how America is treating people humanly. All the freedom that I've been experiencing in person now, I heard it when I went to Israel, because I learned from Americans.
So before you went to Israel for the previous 3 years after you escaped from your own country, which country did you live? Is it the Middle East? And how did you survive in Middle East?
Well, I lived in Sudan.
Uh-huh.
Not a long time, because not a long period of time, because I was not allowed to live in Sudan because I'm a Christian, and it's an Islamic country. And then I was treated like an Islam, so I had to run away to the next. I had to run away to Egypt, and in Egypt I started to live, but I'm not allowed to live there because they didn't give me any right. They actually kidnaps if you are Christian, because especially if you are black and Christian. If you are black,
You were targeted as a black Christian.
as a black and Christian, both. So I had two disadvantages. I was black and I was Christian, and then I had to run away to the next, because I hear people, if you go to Israel, it's better. And then I had to run to and all the experiences that I had, like I had to pay a lot of thousands of dollars to save myself. Forget to live, just to save myself, not to be kidnapped. I have to pay. That's the only way I could save myself. And there was no any humanitarian, there was no any media exposing all these horrible, inhumane practice that's happening there. No international media, no international organization, no UN, no, all these are fake. Like they are not there to do anything. So what I'm saying is, like now, like I was telling you, in Tunisia right now, the president say publicly that the black people are taking your country in Tunisia, and then all the Arab are killing and slaughtering black people in the street of Tunisia right now, and there is no media. I'm sure nobody has ever heard this, what's happening now, because there is no media. The media is focused on a fake news, not a real news. Even the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, if they actually care about their color of skin, they would expose what's happening in the North Africa, in Tunisia, in Libya. In Libya are being sold black people like a slave right now. I'm not talking about history that happened 50, 40, 100 years ago. No, right now, like this year, 2023. You can.
They're only focused on American racism. They don't care about like black people living in other oppressive regimes. They don't report it. They don't help you. But they only want to use that to now taking down the American traditions. I'm sure you see that. So what happened to your family after you escaped? Did they actually go to them to punish them because you escaped?
No, because there are thousands, like maybe 400, 500, it could reach million young people are running away. So
they all can escape, yeah.
Yeah, if they have to go after your family, then they will imprison. We are few people, we are 6 million, So if they go after a million people family, then the country will end up in a prison, the whole nation. So what they do is they do the same to your father. They forcefully conscripted and they conscripted your brother, your younger brother, and make it in your place. They they replace you. That's the only way they use it. One of their strategies.
I can imagine how your family feels, especially your mother. It's like you cannot see them again. You cannot go back to visit them.
No.
And then your family cannot come here, right?
No.
I'm just.
They can't.
It's just terrible. Yes, and so you come here 2016. So you come here. You got married. You have 2 kids.
Yes, I'm married. I got 2 kids, and I've been living here in America since 2016. I got my American citizenship. I'm American now. I'm very proud to be American.
And you're an entrepreneur. You have your own truck business.
Yeah, and I created my own trucking business. I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay,
So what make you want to come to my show to tell your stories? Something that bother you in this country, make you feel like you need to come out to tell your stories?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first time I came to America, I was happy. I was very happy. I got my freedom. I've been respected like an American. I got the right to work, the right to live freely. And I really appreciated America and American people. very, very deep. I appreciate them. I love them. I become part of them even long time before I got my citizenship. I feel like I'm American because of the freedom, the opportunity, and also people's respect for humanity. But like in 2020, when I started to get involved more to the media, and before that, I was just working I was school, I was doing my stuff. I was trying to help my family and myself as a new immigrant. But on 2020, when I see all this riot, destroying all the cities, like I saw anarchism. And then I start to notice what's happening here. Why these people are destroying this country that gives them freedom, that gives them right, that gives them dignity. Why are they destroying it? What's going on around here? No, I thought first maybe it's politics, but it's not politics because I have never seen that before. I saw politics like they insult each other, they compare each other, whatever. That's like a political game that's happening under a democratic competition under Democrat. But what I saw in 2020 is not like I saw anarchism. People who hated this country deeply, and they are ready to destroy, like this Antifa or BLM. They hate it and they won't destroy it. And then I was shocked. And then I started.
Were you shocked to hear BLM organization founders? They said we are trained Marxist.
Yes, I heard these founders. They are not all. They are trained communists. I start to study them, and they say that they are trained communists, and they are also lesbian or something. Like this homosexual. Okay, in our country, as a Christian, I grew up very in a conservative family under a communist. Like I was telling you, my family was a devoted Christian, very religious. I have never learned what's going on about this homosexuality, the gender ideology. It's a new idea to me, a very new idea to me. And then they say a trained communist, and then homosexualist, whatever. And then I was shocked. What's happening here? These black women are representing all these millions of black people who have a different problem, not with a gender ideology, not with the discrimination, victimization. Actually, America is the best country that black color people are respected. I've been to different countries. Many countries, under Arab countries, African countries, Middle Eastern countries. Black people are treated much, much better. I'm not saying that there is no any problem for black people. There is, but much, much better than any country in the planet. As a black person, if I would choose a country, I would choose America right now. There might be historical whatever background, but right now in this century, like I was telling you, in Egypt, because we were black, because we were just Christian, we were treated like an animal, like a subhuman. Right now in Tunisia, I was telling you, same story. People are treated, being killed, slaughtered because of their color of the skin. I have never seen anyone been experiencing that.
You should contribute to CNN or MSNBC or the very radical left media to say, you know what, you preach diversity, you preach like anti-racism all the time. Maybe you should go on their show to tell them your stories. There are black people literally being slaughtered and killed, and you're not reporting that. You only demonize America is a systemic racist country, but you just told me as a black, you're actually really African black too. And you come here, you feel like this is such a free country, you love it, and you don't believe whatever they're doing. So how do you feel? Do you think they are trained communists just to use the minority people, not just blacks, but also people of color, indigenous people, and even use the people who are like and even homosexual people, they think this is free country, it's legal, and if you're 18, you want to choose your lifestyle, that's fine, and I respect that. Or if you're trans, when you're adult and you make that decision. But now they're pushing down to everybody, and especially school children, minors, and to tell them that if you are not going to keep secrets about the trans kids stuff and tell their parents that you're against trans kids, you are like a transphobic. So it's kind of like already you see the shift. They want the kids to trust authority, the government, more than trust their own parents. And they assume most parents are just bad, abusive, they're going to beat up their kids. Is that something we saw before? Don't trust your parents, destroy your families. And then the kids walk out and even turn their family, and to the authority. This is a horrible, horrible trend, right?
Yeah, like he said, the media is become fake. It's not like a free media anymore. They become controlled by people who with a communist ideology. And once you become you believe in a communist ideology, you like to control. You want control, not like to give a chance to express eyewitnesses like me to tell my story, what's happening out there. They don't care about that. They will never let you have an opportunity to tell a story, because that's fact. And the media became fake. They will not broadcast any factual incidents that's happening. That's one thing. And then I don't have any hatred against homosexual or stuff, but like I was telling you a story where I came from. The government, the only institution that saves me to think critically is my family, the institution of the family. And that institution actually finally was attacked by the communist state. So this homosexuality, transgender, stuff like that is actually targeting this only institution that we can find, we can fight and save America. They're attacking that. I don't care. Individually, they can be whatever QR, whatever they can be, whatever they want. That they are free to. But they, like last time, the Women's Day. The Women's Day, the President Biden gathered people. I was shocked. Gathered people under the Women's Day. But this man who, like probably last year, transitioned to woman was leading the Women's Day. That's a violation of women's rights. I don't know why all these American women are not fighting this, because this American woman has been violated for 100 years, and then they fought for their right, and suddenly another man who last year maybe transitioned to a woman is representing them. This is weird for me. This is I cannot accept it. So I'm not like any hatred against individual who prefers to be whatever sex gender that he want or she want. I don't care about that. I don't care. But when you attack the institution, the family, we don't know even now what's the family. Nobody can define in America. That's really ridiculous. That's what we need to fight. I cannot stop and keep silent from fighting, because that's the only institution that we are left. Look, the media is controlled by the communists. Look, the education system controlled by the judiciary system is controlled by the fake communist ideology. Every institution in America is almost controlled by this communist and minority. They are not majority, by the way, minority. And now forcing the black people to accept this ridiculous ideology, gender ideology, stuff like that. Not only that, even the pastors, the Christians, that the God's messengers become weird. They become, I'm a gay and I'm God's man. I have never heard. I grew up with Bible. I grew up with my grandfather. My grandfather was a priest, a Christian priest. I have never ever heard in the Bible, never read in the Bible that gay priest or lesbian priest. No, I have never ever heard that. So it's against the Bible, against our Christian value, our Christian religion. So if you people who say I'm Christian, it's time for them to fight. You cannot just claim yourself, oh, I'm Christian, but your religion is being taken over by these people who are evil, who are not religious. I don't care. They can be atheists, but they came to the church and they're taking over what you believe, and they change the doctrine that you believe in. And then
that's why as immigrants we're worried about our civil and cultural family institutions are being attacked, marginalized. Parents are being marginalized. And we just failed to pass this bill in New Hampshire State House called the Parental Rights Bill. Where in the world you can think of in America, we have to come out to testify, to tell legislators, please pass this bill, protect parental rights. And where are the parents? Like you said, where are the traditional classic liberals and feminists who promote women's rights? And now they're trying to erase the woman, and they cannot define woman, define mother, but only when they turn out people like abortion activists talk about women's rights, my body, then they talk about women's rights. But when it comes to other issues, girls' sports and the female prisoner women's rights to have privacy, protection, and to talk about lots of awards, lots of work corporations, and this equity, diversity agenda. So this ideology they're pushing, basically now it's the new victim group, new oppressed group. It's the same thing. It's identity politics, oppressor versus oppressed. We saw that before. It's always about class struggle, but they don't tell you it's class anymore. It's by race, by gender, by religion, by, a few years ago, it's by what? By if you're vaccinated or not. So they have to constantly create
Yeah.
enemy for us to fight, to hate. That's why I try to always warn people, as Americans, we respect each other, we live, let live, we are united, because otherwise this is radical communists, like you said, they're the minority, but they're really loud, aggressive, violent, and they scare people. When people are trying to speak up, you can lose your job, lose your career. I'm sure there are good teachers in schools, but they're afraid to speak up, and they will not get their a job. And then you see the corporations, the people who have to do all this stuff because they're pressured by the lefty activists. If you don't do what we tell you to do, be your work, then we're going to try to boycott you, and we're kind of trying to demonize you publicly on social media. So this whole country, it's so worrisome now. We are at the point you feel really like a American cultural revolution. What I survived in China, the cultural revolution. And I'm sure you and I, we see the same stuff happening here. What can people do? What do you think what people should do now?
I think people should stand up. Should stand up for their rights, because I understand there is this boycotting, canceling, taking away your job, stuff like that. But there is worse that could happen. This is not like, this is bad, but it's not the worst scenario of a radical communist. They can take your life. They already start putting people in prison who protested in DC, and we don't know where they are. We don't know what's happening to them. But this will come to you slowly. Maybe we can say like, oh, I'm safe. Other people are imprisoned. Other people are taking away their job. But it will come to each and every citizen in America unless they stand up and fight for it. You cannot let a minority radical communist group taking your institution, your media institution, your educational institution, your judicial institution, every institution that in America. That means they are taking away your freedom, your liberty. Even they are taking away your democracy. America is so proud to be a democratic country, and they are taking it away from us. So we cannot just stand idle. We can fight and save this country and save our institution and bring it back to the hands of freedom-loving people.
And but American people who don't know, that's why you and I, as immigrants and fled communist countries, we see the writings on the wall. We recognize their terms, their tactics, and their rhetorics. But lots of American people, especially our young people, they don't know because they're not told real history. Even their parents' generation don't know what happened to other countries so well. So that's why I started this show, this channel, so we can tell our stories. We have to answer our calling now. Americans don't know, but we know. If we know the truth, it's like if we see our neighbors' houses on the fire, don't you think we have an obligation to warn them? Your house is on fire. You got to put that fire off. But because we know, so we have to constantly come out to speak loud, to educate. So I had another woman who survived Cambodia genocide. She said her father fled Chinese communism, and telling her, oh, communists will never take over Cambodia. We're just self-governance island. Our economy was good. He was businessman. Then boom, Khmer Rouge took over. They marched into their middle-class home, took away their kids, all go to educational camps. So she was in the camp by herself from 13 to 17 and almost died because she wanted to continue to live for her mother. So she eventually, come to the United States, escaped. But her own father, her own brother got shot to death. So I'm so glad you survived and she survived. But we cannot forget what happened to us in our native country. Yeah. So tell us about what you're doing in terms of you are trying to help like the people who are so being silenced in your own country. They don't have internet access. And tell us about your foundation.
In our country, Eritrea, there is no media. There is only one state media. TV station is controlled by the communist state. Newspaper, everything is controlled by the communist state. And there is no internet, because if they let internet, then the people have a chance to interact with the other world, and they may have a chance to learn a new thing, and they can know what's happening by the communist government inside their country. but they don't have. There is 0.01 internet in our country, and that 0.01 internet is used by members of the state, not even by the common people.
Yeah.
So we founded this Ghazian Media Foundation, a non-profit organization. Its target is to fundraise money to start TV, satellite, radio, because that's the only way that we can reach them, because the communist state cannot control the satellite of a different country. They don't have that capability. Even though Eritrea is the North Korea of Africa, they don't have that sophisticated technology like North Korea. So they don't have the ability to control the TV satellite or the radio station. They cannot jam us. That's the only way we can reach 5 million who have been blacked out, who have been isolated from the whole world where I came from, which is a lot of them are my family, my fellow countries. So I founded this non-profit organization, and we're trying to raise funds to have a TV satellite that can reach our country, to save millions of people the right to free speech, the right to get reasonable information, the right to be saved from a radical communist who controls the whole country like their personal property. So
that I hope you the best luck. We will share your Facebook foundation information and put a link under your video, this interview, so people can check you out, follow you, and donate money for this media and foundation, so your native country people can have some access to the truth. Otherwise, their voices are completely lost. And I remember that very well when the communist China under Mao, they took over all the radios and all the press. We did not know the truth. And we listened to a shortwave radio from Taiwan and also later from Voice of America. But it was, still supposed to be illegal to even listen to them. So people were turn them off as soon as they feel like, maybe the local police is coming or something, they were turned off. But I remember, we listened anyway because we had access through radio when we were a little bit rich enough to buy a radio. So I hope that, this cause will get lots of attention. And but meanwhile, that I really appreciate and you come on this show, and we will continue to get more and more immigrants to come out, tell their stories. And we need the brave ones too. So look how courageous you are. You still got a family.
I was actually inspired by you and by Miss Van Shi. I was actually inspired. I was connected by, especially Miss Shi, inspired me a lot. The courage that she had and the commitment, including the commitment, the courage and the commitment that you have actually inspired me to be part of this struggle. So
we're actually terrified. We're like you, worried, but also terrified. So we feel like this will answer the calling. So when sometimes you become accidental political activist, right? I feel like I am an accidental activist, liberty activist, because if I know the truth, then I cannot remain silent. So I have been doing this for 8 years. And I wanted to have this immigrant show for many years. Just now it's to the point I have to do it, even though I'm not tech savvy. I don't have money. I think I got $36 so far from YouTube channel. and so I have a volunteer to help me to get this going. So, but I really appreciate it. Let's keep in touch, and we will get you back another time and get keep us informed what your foundation is doing, how you are doing, and I really appreciate. And so if you like this video, please share, like, and subscribe. We will have Immigrant Speak and video come out every Sunday. And there's a link below. And please follow us on Locals if you want to support us for $5 a month, so we can continue this very important program and to educate, especially our young Americans who don't know, how evil this ideology communism is, and the socialism needs communism. That's why we have to educate them now before it's too late. So thank you so much. And thank you, Philemon. We'll be in touch. You have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Lily, for having me. I appreciate you. Let's keep the struggle on and on. Let's never stop, and we will win.
And we'll keep your family in our prayers. And keep my families in your prayers too, because I have a lot in China.
I will, for sure.
Yeah. And you stay healthy and stay well. Bye.
Thank you, Lily. Bye.
Bye-bye.